Together for Palestine, one of the largest fundraiser concert events for Palestine in the UK. Around 12,500 people filled Wembley's OVO Stadium to watch renowned celebrities, artists and activists express their support for Palestine through various forms of art. Quite the night with a range of performances, but it wasn't just to show support in the form of a concert. The event raised over £1.5 million for Gaza aid and relief funds and expressed strong messages of defiance and protest against Israel's genocide in Gaza. Today we're joined by two of the charity partners of the Together for Palestine event. The CEO of the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, PCRF, and Taawon, the Welfare Association. PCRF have become known worldwide for providing medical and humanitarian relief to children across Palestine, Syria and Lebanon. They evacuate injured and ill children to receive free, quality medical treatment abroad, and also send international doctors into areas across Palestine to provide free healthcare. And Taawon, which is a non-profit civic organization currently running campaigns to sponsor orphan children in Gaza, as Gaza now has the largest orphan crisis in modern history as a result of Israel's genocide. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have today with us Alauddin Showa from PCRF, the current CEO of PCRF, and we have Tariq Mtera from the Taawon Foundation.
When Together for Palestine approached us, and what we liked about their value proposition is that they wanted to work with Palestinian charities on the ground. The salary was very important, and we liked that value proposition, because when you do fundraising event in the West, you tend to go for safe names, the UN, UNICEF, and others. But I think here they wanted really to work with frontline Palestinian charities, and we valued that approach with them. And I think we joined. We were also, of course, worried about how this would impact our ability to operate on the ground, and would we see any kind of reaction. But I think we're generally very happy with the way the event has been produced, orchestrated, and run, and it brought attention to some of the critical, vulnerable groups that we work with on the ground. And it's sort of emphasizing the role of culture, music, in amplifying the voice of Palestine and Palestinian communities and challenges there. So that was very important as well. So I think overall we were so happy and proud to be associated with this event, Together for Palestine, as the beneficiary NGOs, bringing on the front line the actually Palestinian NGOs on the ground. So there's no intermediary in between. And we want to also acknowledge and value the risk and the support that Choose Love as the UK charity that took in terms of helping pulling in all this toward the three charities at no cost, basically.
And what does an event like yesterday do for the operations of your organizations?
I think it sheds light on the activities of our organizations, but also organizations in general, because it did present a variety of angles of how support is being delivered, and it spoke about the challenges as well that are faced on the ground, and conveying such challenges through this medium is very effective, and it brings a wider range of audience and support for the cause. An event like this, and hopefully it will trigger additional events, maybe not at the same scale, or maybe there is discussion that they would like to take this even to other important global cities. We think this is very important, but we also wanted to spread at the grassroots at different scales, to push on certain and present certain aspects of the challenge we're facing, because it is multidimensional, and it's very important through this medium to present it, and through other mediums. I think we need to work at all levels with all methodologies to reach eventually, I think this, in addition to increasing and deepening awareness, drawing attention to the cause, it does encourage, and as we've seen over the past 2 years, the level of knowledge that the young generation has acquired about the cause, the realities, the facts, is incredibly valuable. And I think this adds to it because it's speaking to them and bringing them into the fold. So I think we really appreciate what it triggered and what it could also continue to trigger to build momentum in support of all aspects of the work that we and other Palestinian and also non-Palestinian organizations are doing to support. Another element that is, or another issue that is very important to maybe focus on, is the fact that the occupation is chipping away at the capabilities of the public sector through the PA. So we're noticing in our sector that the withholding of the proceeds from customs is causing a major reduction in revenue to the Palestinian Authority, which is really cutting down on their ability to maintain the quality of the health sector, of course, all other sectors. Organizations like us have to come together, but we have to come together in a very well coordinated, very well thought out way to augment and to fill gaps. However, it is draining because the methods that are used to really chip away at our systems that are already under occupation and already undermined is something that the scale of effort that needs to be exerted to fill those gaps, and with the speed that those gaps are being created, is really very challenging. And I think we will need all the support. So we're speaking also not only for PCRF and the welfare and the participants in supporting the Together for Palestine, but all organizations, because we are trying to fill the gaps. We're trying to cover as much as possible, and the situation is getting more and more and more difficult.
What has donor confidence been like over the past 2 years, and how has it changed since previous conflicts or like times of aggression in Gaza in particular? What has it been like, especially that access is such an issue? How do the donors feel about that? Has it at any points affected donor confidence?
I mean, generally, from our perspective, is the sort of the regular donors that worked with us over the years. This has been the longest conflict in terms of on the Palestinian cause. So there is a bit of fatigue, tiredness. We basically drained our core constituency. We rely a lot on Palestinian actually funds to run our operations. We're always proud of our setting that we are a Palestinian charity or a Palestinian development agency with Palestinian capital, Palestinian leadership, and all that. But of course, we also work with international partners to deliver programs on the ground, both in the Arab side and in the Western side, where we have many development partners that work with us. And what we have seen is that the emergence it's an extended emergency. So there's a bit of, I would say, fatigue in the sense, okay, how long can we just pay for water and access to basic services and all that? And it's being bombed again and again and again. And so that is on the other hand, I think we're seeing more and people are especially in countries like the UK, other countries are starting to see come to realization that okay, this is going in the wrong direction, and so we're getting more support from newer constituencies.
There's been a change in the demographic of donors.
Exactly. So we're seeing more partners coming in and putting resources to help us, and I think events like Together for Palestine is amplifying this attention to these. Bringing these new demographics to support both emergency response, but also the vulnerable communities affected by the current war on Gaza.
Very interesting. Okay, and Alaaddin, you spoke earlier about access. What has access been like to Gaza and even other parts of Palestine during
So over the past year, and increasingly since the start of the war, we have our access, our ability to bring in supplies, medical supplies, equipment, and currently our ability to bring in emergency aid has really significantly shrunk. The closure of Rafah and then the complications on the southern borders, access through from Jordan have significantly slowed down. Currently, we are unable to bring, as an organization, we are unable to bring goods, so we rely on what we are able to access in the local market, which is very scarce. The system that was introduced recently to bring in supplies has really created major problems, and there is a great deal of theft. There is a great deal of maybe organized theft that first of all, of course, reduces the availability of and to start with, the amounts that are being brought in are very insignificant or much less than what is actually needed. And with the theft and then the sale through commercial activities brings up the prices to unrealistic. And you have to keep in mind that, the population has no income.
Most people have lost their jobs.
Exactly, lost their jobs, lost their savings, lost even their relatives who are trying to send them money are even running out of resources. So organizations like us have to chip in, have to try to do whatever we can. With the restricted access, our ability to deliver as much as we want to deliver is curtailed. However, we've been able to, by different means, we've been able to get milk supplies, vegetables, water, hygiene supplies, and a variety of items, but at a very high cost, and the quantities are not really the quantities that are needed to cover the requirements of the people. So as you have been hearing, probably the issue of malnutrition hitting both adults but primarily the children, pregnant mom or breastfeeding moms,
and vulnerable people with disabilities,
vulnerable people. It's having a very deep and probably long-lasting, long-term impact on the health of our children, their healthy growth patterns, and the illnesses that they will be exposed to down the road and currently as well.
Perhaps just to build on this is that we used to let's say a parcel of food for a family of 5 or 6 would have probably costed us 50 euros or 50 US dollars before the last blockade in March. Now it's shot up to 250. So you can see the price differences, and every day is changing, but also the nutritional value is also decreasing in that parcel. So because you have limited goods available on the market.
So firstly, who's taking that extra $200? Where is that going?
Well, because it's there's a limited supply in the local market, and commercial actors with that supply and demand, with the limited supplies available. So Israeli has let, I think, few commercial actors to bring in some goods, but they are not necessarily the most nutritional.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, and then they've changed the regulations on what can be brought in.
Yeah.
Are there less like protein-filled items?
Exactly. Yeah.
Products?
Like meat, red meat, and chicken and fish. All of that is not allowed to come in.
You find mainly dry what's called dry food, but also there are locally produced vegetables. It's very small pockets here and there, and it goes very quickly.
A lot of the farmland has been destroyed as well. Yeah. I want to come back to one point about the access of people and volunteers. What has that been like?
We have noticed that recently the numbers have, or the volunteers who request visa and permit to enter has really dropped. The Israeli occupation has imposed a requirement that any volunteer must apply for a volunteer visa, and that automatically puts it at risk of rejection. We have been noticing that the rejection rate has been increasing. So the number of health professionals we've been able to bring in to Gaza has also shrunk significantly. Of course, the situation is also risky, but many of them are willing to come and provide services. And this also, the targeting of volunteers and restricting their entry is again a hit directed to solidarity. Making sure that you obstruct any form of solidarity with the population inside with the Palestinian people in Gaza and increasingly in the West Bank. And this is a very, extremely dangerous because on the one hand, health professionals are being killed in large numbers over the past 2 years. So we have an attrition of the health sector, the capacities, and we need the entry of new and supportive volunteers, and this is being targeted. So we're really, the population is left to really minimal capabilities to provide them with the care that is needed.
Doctors in Gaza who have been working like non-stop for the past 2 years.
Exactly. And malnutrition as well. It's an unreal situation. Like when you really look at the details of it, it's unimaginable to have a doctor who hasn't been able to find something to eat for 2 days. Imagine. This applies to most health professionals and other professionals who are trying to provide services to the population. Municipalities, for example, are being targeted, and their workers who are trying to provide basic services like drinking water, dealing with wastewater and sewage, waste management. The municipalities are not allowed to access the dump sites, the landfill sites that are formal dump sites. So that's creating another challenge for what we are trying to do in terms of the health of the population.
Yeah, this is something that I wanted to ask you about. Both of your organizations, they also contribute to the building of infrastructure. So what has that been like? Because as you've said, you have rebuilt, or some of the organizations have rebuilt things in Gaza, and then those things have been subsequently destroyed. So what has that been like?
I mean, in our case, we came in after the 2014 aggression on Gaza and the war in 2014 with massive restoration of cultural heritage and the Gaza. All that is destroyed now. Wow. We put a lot of investment there. Even in the last year as well, we tried to actually collect some artifacts and museum pieces from the rebels. We put them in 2 warehouses. Somehow the warehouses were identified, and again there was an attack on these 2 warehouses, destroying all the items, historic items collected. So it's really a war of killing everything that is important to the lives, memory, history, culture of the Palestinians and Gaza.
And the history of the land, and the layers of history that have been hit from the prehistoric times, from the Canaanites all the way to the Hyksos, all the way to the Romans, the Greek Romans and Byzantine, and then the Islamic and the early Christian. Everything has been targeted. Everything has been directly hit.
But also we have to say, people in Gaza are also so ingenious and so dedicated. I mean, we worked with our partners, rebuilding clinics or primary healthcare clinics from recycled items, collected solar panels to create a simple structure so that they can operate. We've been supporting some of these. So I have to say that the people there are enormous in terms of their resilience, finding solutions with the materials they have to survive. I mean, just an enormous talent that exists there. And we hope we can able to support them and continue to work with them.
Yeah. We also, as I mentioned earlier, that the PCRF has supported the construction or addition of infrastructure to hospitals and clinics. We had provided or constructed a cancer center, children's cancer center at Al-Rantisi Hospital in Gaza. This ward was hit in November 2023. It was fully equipped. It sustained major damage. We started the process of rehabbing it and reconstructing it, also using, as Tariq mentioned, using recycled whatever we could. Our engineers and architects could work with the local producers to supply and put it close to finalize, getting it ready to function again. And 2 days ago it was hit again and badly damaged. So
after restoration.
After restoration. So I think a lot of the infrastructure is vulnerable to being hit. So
yeah. I wanted to talk a bit about the sponsoring of education and scholarships, and also the universities in Gaza. Most of the universities have been destroyed in Gaza by Israel. So both of your organizations have sponsored scholarships for education, right? How do you strike this balance between helping people grow and develop inside Gaza, despite the circumstances, and sponsoring their education whilst there? And many people will have to leave due to many things, facilities, etc. So how have you struck that balance between sponsoring education and providing these scholarships and not getting a lot of people to leave Gaza?
I mean, in our case, we received, Taawon is also a re-granting entity. So we really work with the Palestinian civil society, and we try to help them. And we received a lot of initiatives in which were a group of institutions trying to provide scholarship for Gaza students to study outside Gaza. But we actually refrained from that. We focused on the students that want to study in Gaza universities and giving them the opportunity to finish their degrees. So there's about 90,000 university students. When the war started, there were 90,000 university students in all levels of higher education, from first year to PhD students. So all that infrastructure, almost 80% of the physical infrastructure for university was destroyed. So all these 90,000 were left out of. However, the three main, what we call the public schools or universities, got together and created a committee where they collaborated in bringing back online education. Not all subjects, at least let's say 40 to 50% of coursework, you can manage doing it online. And once they demonstrated to us that they are doing this, we created an initiative where we really needed to support these students to finish their degrees and join the workforce currently in Gaza. For example, a lot of Ala mentioned the lack of doctors, so a lot of the medical staff supporting all this enormous amount of needs for are actually fourth, fifth, and sixth year students. Medical students are doing their residency, and so they need to graduate as well. They need to complete. So we've been working to make sure that these are finish their degrees, get accredited, enter into the job market. Some students also actually finishing their degrees in subjects where they actually are able to even work internationally to a limited extent, but there are a few of these in the IT sector, as long as, of course, the telecom infrastructure is still intact. But I think this is an enormous task.
Yeah.
The resources available to us is barely putting 5,000 students into education. So 5,000, we're talking about 80,000. So we need a bit more resources to bring back, to put more students back into the educational machinery, I would say.
Okay.
We actually focus on the-job training for medical staff. When we bring in specialists on mission, we ensure that they are coupled with local doctors at the facilities where they're serving. We have a large number of local doctors who have received, of course, they have participated and have been exposed to and engaged on the job with highly qualified doctors during the provision of specialized services. So that's an area that we focus on very much. So it's a deliberate activity that we make sure that we bring in. When we bring in a specialty, the specialty is coupled with local medical staff in order to build the capacity on the ground. This is something that we are working on expanding. Hopefully the issue of restricting entry of volunteers gets resolved at some point. In order for us, as you said, we really don't want to encourage movement outside. So that will be something that we will continue to do to the extent possible.
How do both of your organizations plan ahead for the future in places like Gaza and around Palestine with these very, very constantly changing circumstances and almost the unpredictability of what Israel may be doing? Now some of Israel's kind of plans are a bit clearer, but how do your organizations plan ahead?
I mean, it is a highly volatile and high degree of uncertainties been going on now. But I mean, I think historically when we worked from the 80s in the Palestinian context, I mean, we were constantly under extreme, what they call constraining conditions because of the occupation, because of the behavior of the military police or the military infrastructure there. So we always had to find ways to be flexible in terms of what we do. However, remaining committed to a course of action is the key issue. And our members, our constituency remains committed. So when we said we're going to take care of 20,000 orphans for 18 years, we are committed to that because we did that before. We took care of 1,500 orphans because of the 2008 wars. We stayed with them until now. Some of these are actually now volunteers, doctors, psychologists working today in Gaza. So the main is to remain committed to the purpose, to the cause, to the issue. the methods and the techniques of delivery on the ground keep changing all the time. So that's where we need flexibility in operational issues, but I think tactical and operational issues. But and our partners on the ground have learned to do that as well, because of the constant change of regulations, rules, closures, imposition of barriers. It's a very volatile and uncertain environment, but we have to remain committed.
Very good.
For PCRF, we stay with our core programs. We adjust on a regular basis based on our ability to deliver under each of the programs. We have recently added the emergency relief program, which is the result of the situation, and it's a very responsive program that expands or shrinks depending on the situation on the ground. We are always innovating to, for example, we've introduced the mobile medical teams recently because of what has been happened to the hospitals and the clinics. So we try to be as responsive and as agile as possible to address need as it arises under the circumstances. So we also, we're looking to support the well-being of Palestinian children in Palestine and in the surrounding region. So we want to make sure that we're growing our programs in the surrounding region while improving and adjusting, innovating through our programs in Palestine to hopefully ride this difficult phase until we get to a situation where we stabilize and we begin to build in partnership with all the other organizations. Now, in the surrounding region, we need, because the situation of Palestinian children in most of the surrounding countries is not really optimal. So we need to also look and address that, because we're all part of this community, and all of our children will grow up to be active participants in the process that we want to build up momentum for.
Thank you.
Tarek and Ala Ad-Din, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.